Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. The modern Republican Party under Donald Trump is an increasingly extreme organization. It's trafficked in some of the worst, most disgusting, hateful bigotry, racism, anti-Semitism. It's been part of their public pronouncements, and we're learning it's even worse behind closed doors. Just yesterday, Politico published some private chat messages from about a dozen leaders of the Young Republican group across the country. MSNBC has not independently verified those chats, but Politico's reporting revealed a culture where racist, anti-Semitic, and violent rhetoric circulate freely. This was horrible, gross stuff, and it didn't happen in a vacuum. I mean, the rhetoric here is a core part of the formation of an entire subsection, a whole MAGA-centric cohort of conservatives. And when the news of these chats broke yesterday, you saw a really interesting dynamic playing out. So some Republicans, different levels in different parts of the country, did, I think, the natural thing, which was move to condemn what they read, condemn the chat members. Many of the people on that chat were fired or had job offers rescinded. The Black Conservative Federation, for instance, said, quote, "Let us be absolutely clear. Racism is not conservatism. Bigotry, hatred, and moral rot dressed up as jokes or free speech are the very evils that our movement must reject with moral clarity." The group called on every Republican leader, from national figures to grassroots activists, to denounce this behavior without hesitation or excuse. And again, to be fair, many Republicans were doing that until yesterday into today, when someone rode in to stop them. When Trump's vice president said, "Quit it, leave the kids alone." J.D. Vance is himself a creature of this extremely online right-wing underworld. One wonders what's in his chats, where he gained notoriety last year for following lots of white supremacist accounts, including a self-proclaimed historian who praised Hitler and claimed that Winston Churchill was the chief villain of World War II. He still follows those accounts to this day, and maybe he just likes to read widely. Today, Vice President J.D. Vance did the thing that he always does. It's the "oh, just get over it" approach.
By focusing on what kids are saying in a group chat, grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. If you put something in a group chat, assume that some scumbag is going to leak it in an effort to try to cause you harm or cause your family harm. But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do.
That's what kids do. Kids, young boys tell edgy jokes. Now, just to be clear, the members of the Young Republicans are not 9 years old, and they are not 15 or 16. In fact, they range in age from 18 to 40. J.D. Vance is 41. The people in this chat weren't young boys. They weren't kids. They were career Republican political operatives in their mid-20s and mid-30s, otherwise known as adults or grown-ups or fully formed moral agents responsible for their actions. Like Peter Giunta, he's one of them. Until today, he was the chief of staff for New York Republican state legislator Michael Riley. Giunta worked for the assemblyman for 5 years. When the chair of the Arizona Young Republicans asked if the New Yorkers in the chat were watching an NBA playoff game, Giunta responded, "I'd go to the zoo if I wanted to watch monkey play ball." Not a child. Not a young kid, a grown man. And again, he chose to say that. That's his right in America. You can say that. He also ridiculed Black people, Indian women, female and non-white pilots, and wrote, quote, "I love Hitler." He threatened that anyone who voted against him in an upcoming election is, quote, "going to the gas chamber." Again, J.D. Vance thinks he's a young boy or a kid and that these are edgy jokes. Giunta has since been fired. He has also apologized, said the chats were released by a rival as part of character assassination. Then you've got William Hendricks, that's the Kansas Young Republicans vice chair. At 24, he was one of the youngest chat members. Again, 24, a grown adult. Now, Politico says Hendricks used variations of the N-word more than a dozen times in those chats. Hendrick also used an anti-gay slur, deployed racist expressions we won't repeat here. He was also a full-time communications assistant for Kansas Republican Attorney General Chris Kobach until he was fired yesterday. Hendricks didn't return Politico's request for comment. These guys are not alone. Other members include a sitting Vermont state senator. Turns out you can't elect little boys to be a state senator. This state senator suggested in the chat that non-white women didn't bathe. And a Catholic high school counselor who responded to a gas chamber remark with the retort, quote, "I'm ready to watch people burn now." She has since lost her job as a counselor. Again, These are the people J.D. Vance went to bat for today. Adults, grown-ups, people who work in politics. The whole point here is to send the message from J.D. Vance. This behavior is good, fine, actually encouraged. It's part of what defines you as part of this in-group, like being an edgy edgelord who makes offensive jokes. That it will be defended by Republicans in the absolute highest offices, not by Democrats like New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who we'll be hearing from later in the show.
Some bad apples. These are the future of the Republican Party. This was so vile. It is hard to find the words to put into context. This is not one person saying they love Hitler. This is a whole lot of people saying things that are so disgusting and so abhorrent that everybody from the president on down should condemn them. There needs to be consequences. This bull has to stop.
I happen to agree. The problem is this is part of the ideological formation of the new MAGA vanguard to kind of just soak your brain, right? Marinate it in the most extremist, discredited, destructive views in all of human history, right? Start with flirting with ultra ideas like maybe Hitler had a point. Then you're just kind of playing around with outright Nazism. And then before you know it, maybe it's not so ironic anymore. In fact, on that topic, this is kind of an odd one. Today, a Nazi swastika superimposed on an American flag was found displayed on a bulletin board in a Republican congressman's office in Capitol Hill. And according to Politico, that swastika you see there was visible to participants in an online meeting on the cubicle wall behind a congressional staffer for Republican Congressman Dave Taylor of Ohio. The staffer has not responded to requests for comment. A spokesperson for Taylor said the congressman believed the swastika ended up in his office as a result of, quote, foul play or vandalism, and he called for the Capitol Police to investigate. We'll let you know if they crack the case on that one. This stuff doesn't just permeate the culture of conservatism at this moment. It is the culture, by and large. These are J.D. Vance Republicans. And they are executing an agenda for Donald Trump that you can see when masked armed men grab non-white people off of American streets at the very same time that an army of lawyers are attempting to undo decades of civil rights laws and protections. You see it in the racist tropes being used in propaganda by Trump's Department of Homeland Security, including using terminology like invasion and cultural decline and remigration, a term that was coined by white supremacists in Europe to replace a more direct term, ethnic cleansing. You see it in new reporting by the New York Times today on a Trump plan for radical overhaul of the U.S. refugee system, one that would slash the program to its bare bones while giving preference to English speakers, white South Africans, and Europeans. Taking a program that exists to save lives of the most marginalized, at-risk people on Earth, and turning it into what Times calls Trump's vision of immigration to help mostly white people who say they are being persecuted while keeping the vast majority of other people out. It's all plain as day, whether it's in a private chat or in public. This is what we got. This is the world Trump is building. And the young Republicans in that chat and the halls of Congress have clearly gotten the memo. They're already working in the party in state capitals and executive offices. They understand in this moment that extremist hatred is at the core of what it means to be a Trump Republican.